So hello, everyone. Welcome to Packview's Q4 2022 CPC webinar. We're excited to walk you through the Q4 benchmarks and performance data today. Just a reminder, the webinar will be recorded, so that will be sent out later. But if you have any questions throughout the presentation, there's a Q&A chat box, and so we'll leave some time at the end to answer some of your questions. So we can begin with some intros. I'm McKenna Grimsby. I'm a retail media strategist here at Packview on our strategic consulting team. And I'm joined by my colleague, Kelsey, who I'll let introduce herself. Kelsey, you might be on mute or frozen. Okay. Well, I'll just continue and hopefully that gets worked out. So on the next slide here, we have a preview of today's agenda. So we'll kick things off with a quick recap from Q4 in the holiday season, including what's new with Amazon advertising. Next, in a big portion of today's webinar, we're going to deep dive into the Q4 report. So highlighting results and category insights for Amazon, Walmart, and Instacart. And then we'll end the day with our tips on how to win big in 2023 and a brief Q&A. So again, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just drop them in that Q&A chat box and we'll do our best to get to those at the end. The questions that we don't get to, we can follow up via email. I know some of you guys had sent in some in advance when you registered as well, so we'll try to get to those too. For those of you attending your first Packview webinar, welcome. We're excited to have you all here. Packview is the leading enterprise platform for brands, sellers, and agencies looking to manage e-commerce advertising across 30+ retailers by combining holistic performance and recommended actions. Be sure to follow us on LinkedIn for the latest and greatest in retail and e-commerce data. And if you're interested in a demo, please reach out here or on our website.
Back on, McKenna.
Awesome. If you want to do an intro, you can do that now.
Yes. So sorry about that, guys. Literally, as soon as McKenna said hello, my lights just flashed on and off, and we're back. We're good. So quick intro. My name is Kelsey. I'm a customer success manager here at Packview. Excited to talk to you guys about how Q4 went for us for 2022. So back to you, McKenna.
So let's start the presentation with a recap of what happened in Q4, including key takeaways from the holiday season and some current trends in e-commerce. So Q4 2022 will be remembered for one of the largest holiday event pushes ever, with Cyber Monday generating $240 billion in sales across retail media. US retail sales grew 7.6% year-over-year from November 1st to Christmas Eve. And emerging consumer habits have certainly taken root in e-commerce and taken it to new heights. But despite the growth, both advertisers and consumers still face that uncertainty in Q4 that they had in Q3. And now I'll pass it back to Kelsey to dive deeper into some specific trends we're seeing.
Okay, so the first trend we noticed is that we noticed some changes in the shifting spending patterns. So there are several ways that this holiday season was different from the years past. The season started earlier than ever, so several retailers, including Amazon, Walmart, everybody did special deals around the fall period, fall Prime Day. Walmart tried to compete with that as well. So this launched high-profile sales during October that made the holiday shopping season start a little bit earlier than usual. So while those events might not have delivered those blockbuster results they might have been hoping for, they did let retailers clear inventory and help drive a 7.2% year-over-year increase in sales across October and November. And that's per the US Commerce Department data. Next trend we noticed was that discounts were super steep. So while the holiday season is typically a pretty good time of year for consumers to score these special deals, many retailers slashed prices across the board this year. Prices actually fell 3.2% in November, month over month, and that's per Adobe's Digital Price Index, thanks to aggressive discounting in categories like electronics. Another trend we noticed was that consumers were extremely value conscious this year, or last year, I guess. With inflation eating into consumer spending powers, shoppers were extra thrifty and less likely to spend big on pricey items. Costco's CEO actually said that the sales of expensive items such as jewelry, high-end TVs had slowed earlier this month. So to build off of that, apparel actually fared really, really well, while electronics did not. Clothing sales increased by 4.4%, while electronics and jewelry actually decreased by 5.3 and 5.4% respectively. And that's according to the MasterCard Spending Pulse. So after a strong couple years, electronics did take a hit as consumers already own those big ticket items. So historically, electronics are not really a high replenishment type category. So we did see that spend is shifting towards essential goods and services, which did not benefit those of the traditional holiday categories we all know and love. And the last trend we noticed is that e-commerce continues to gain market share compared to brick and mortar locations. So online sales accounted for 21.6% of all total retail sales, up from 20.9% in 2021 and 20.6% in 2022. Oh, and I actually have one more point here, that economic uncertainty actually drove many to alternative payment methods. So I'm sure you guys have seen while you're making these Christmas purchases, the buy now, pay later options. And that service alone grew 85% during Cyber Week. It also increased in revenue 88% compared to the week prior, according to Adobe. So overall, pulling the holiday season earlier than ever did have some clear benefits. It did let retailers like Amazon and Walmart capture sales while also smoothing out the flood of the holiday purchases that typically require companies like UPS and FedEx to boost their delivery capacity. However, there are clear signs that the headwind retailers face that are unlikely to recede anytime soon. So you can bump to the next slide. All right, so now we're going to talk about what is new with Amazon advertising. So lots of exciting stuff on this slide. I'm super excited to share it all with you guys. Amazon's constantly changing, growing, adding new features. So I'm sure you guys are all used to that fast pacedness, but let's dive into a couple of these exciting new features. So first we have our sponsored display video. This is a feature that allows brands of all sizes to easily create a video that's up to 45 second long, add them to your campaign, and that's going to present their products and even your brand story to audiences both on and off Amazon. So the brands can also measure the campaign performance with video metrics while respecting their user privacy, of course. Brands can use customized video creatives such as product demos, tutorials, testimonials, and any other creative strategies they'd like to try to increase engagement and gain relevant traffic that help shoppers to better understand how their products solve a need or desire during the consideration phase of the buying cycle. So that's super exciting. Next up, we have the Amazon Video Builder. So with Amazon's Video Builder, brands can now quickly create videos and sponsored display campaigns. So kind of building off of what we just discussed in the last bullet. This can be for your entire product line. You can test multiple versions of these videos, which is fantastic for A/B testing. It's going to help them experiment with different types of imaging and even different messaging. So Video Builder allows brands to upload products and other images from creative assets or even your desktop. You can pull copy from detail pages and edit the color, the font, even the music options. So this enables brands to create multiple videos in under 10 minutes and really is going to help you capitalize on the results of your A/B tests. All right, and then our next new feature coming down the pike is the rewarded sponsored display. Personally, I think this one, I'm very excited about this. This feature will be available soon. It's still technically in the closed beta phase in the US, but even so, keep your eyes out for it, and hopefully you guys can use it in your strategies coming up. The rewarded sponsored display is going to actually permit sellers and brands to directly add an Amazon shopping credit in their creatives. So the shoppers are going to see your ad, see your video, and when they click on it, they're going to get some sort of credit to their Amazon account. I don't know if that will be like $1 off or they'll start building up different types of credits. But regardless, shoppers are going to be rewarded for clicking on your ads, which is good news for you guys. So the value and utility of providing that experience was confirmed by the Amazon ad survey actually in 2021, which led them to making this decision. So nearly 100% of the responders in that survey said that they're more likely to purchase a specific product if they were offered a shopping credit. And now that I'm reading that, I think I actually took part in that survey and said that I'd be happy to get a credit back on that. So historically, special discounts and coupons displayed prominently in Amazon ads have generated higher conversion rates and improved ROAS. So over time, the results from this new feature are going to provide new interesting data because they will give actionable insights to whether shoppers prefer a special discount or if they prefer a credit that can be used later. So time will tell. The next thing that's new in Amazon advertising is the digital signage ads in Amazon DSP. This one's also a really awesome feature. So eligible sellers and brands that are located in the US can purchase ads via Amazon DSP to advertise directly within Amazon Fresh stores. So we're not talking on the browser, we're not talking on the cell phones, we're talking the legit signs that are in the Amazon Fresh stores as customers are walking down the aisles. So Amazon DSP is providing a greater flexibility and control for sellers and brands of where their ads are going to appear. Campaigns can be scheduled based upon the store location. You can use day parting to choose what time of day you want your ad to display on these screens. And you can even choose the location of the digital sign within the store. So maybe you wanted it at the front of the store versus the back or versus the special aisle, just depends on what the store has available. So theoretically, this feature is going to create additional opportunities for brand discovery. It's going to strengthen the shopping experience of the shopper through having a wider selection of physical in-store ads. But one caveat to keep in mind that this is only available for Amazon Fresh stores. This is not Whole Foods or any other stores at this time, strictly Amazon Fresh. The next feature that's new within Amazon is the sponsored product campaigns with presets. So this feature is designed to help remove any ambiguity for sellers who are at the beginning of a new campaign, maybe not super experienced in the advertising realm, or launching a new product on Amazon. So sellers can benefit from this because of Amazon's years of experience and expertise in running these ads. They've actually built preset templates that advertisers can use to launch their new products. So some data that Amazon collected to correlate with this is that sponsored product campaigns launched with these presets did experience a 77% increase in clicks, a 29% increase in sales when compared to sponsored product campaigns that did not use these presets. So keep that in mind. Even with these increases, though, this could mean that your ACoS could be a little higher. So just be mindful of that. However, with a new product launch, your ACoS is probably going to be a little bit higher anyway. So you might as well go in with these presets to help you hit the ground running. And our very last new feature with Amazon, sorry guys, a super lengthy slide here. Amazon's just adding so many things. The last thing is performance recommendations. So performance recommendations, they are in the Amazon console. They are actual actionable best practices for sponsored product campaigns. So as you're using the ads console, this feature is actually working in the background, continuously searching for new recommendations and tips that can actually be adopted right there and then with just one click. So that could be like new keywords or bid suggestions. So Amazon is now trying to create their own sort of features to help you optimize right away. This is going to give sellers real-time recommendations to enhance performance based off of their meticulously evaluated and validated best practices. So next slide. All right, now we're going to jump in to the results from Q4. All right, so let's talk about some key takeaways for Amazon. So ad spend for Amazon sponsored product ads actually increased 11% quarter over quarter, while sponsored brands saw an increase of 8.5% in Q4 in 2022. Cost per click remained flat quarter over quarter for sponsored products and had a decrease of 1.3% quarter over quarter for sponsored brands at an average of $1.58. You guys are going to see graphics on this in the following slides. Ad spend on sponsored products for clothing and shoes and jewelry significantly increased quarter over quarter by 53.44% in quarter four. So that's a pretty big jump. And for the holiday season, stocking stuffers for adults was the top search term in December 2022, which actually replaced Christmas movies from the 2021 shopping season. So next slide, please. All right, so now let's talk about some of the search terms that we've seen move through the seasons here. So in October 2021 versus 2022, Halloween costumes and Christmas decorations continue to dominate the top search term spots in quarter four. As expected, they're always popular terms. One other change in the terms here is the iPhone cases continues to show up as one of the most searched terms in quarter four, because I believe that Apple strategically launches their new iPhones every September, so they can hit that quarter four rush and hit those new keywords as trending. Another search term that was super popular was gifts for women and men, as well as stocking stuffers. These emerged as top search terms for December 2022, as expected for the shopping rush. And then another one is Squishmallow. That rose to the top of searches in November and December of 2022, which my kids are probably part of the reason of that. I'm sure a lot of you guys here can relate. So next slide, please. All right, as I said, we were going to go through some graphical representations of how these different KPIs changed. So while ad spend surged for both sponsored product and sponsored brands in quarter four, CVR and ROAS actually trended downward. CTR and CPC for sponsored product remained flat and unchanged at 0%, but CTR and CPC trended downward for sponsored brand. Next slide, please. All right, next we are going to talk about the average daily spend between sponsored product and sponsored brand. It's just a quick little summary here. Average daily ad spend for sponsored product increased 11% quarter over quarter, while sponsored brand ads saw an increase of 8.5% in quarter four in 2022. The average daily spend for sponsored products decreased slightly, though, by 0.8% year over year and fell by 12.8% for sponsored brands in quarter four. And then we're going to go into CTR. So CTR for sponsored product ads remained unchanged quarter over quarter at an average of 0.31%. Sponsored product CTR experienced a decline year over year with a total decrease of 8.8%. And then CTR for sponsored brand ads decreased by 12.9% quarter over quarter, down to 0.54%, while sponsored brand CTR remained flat with an increase of actually 1.9% year over year. And then next slide here, going through the metric of CPC. So CPC for sponsored products remained fairly flat, decreased slightly for the sponsored brands in quarter four. Sponsored product CPCs remained unchanged, actually at 0% quarter over quarter at an average of $1.21, while CPCs for sponsored product ads decreased 14.8% year over year. And then sponsored brand CPC showed a modest decrease of 1.3% quarter over quarter at an average of $1.58, while sponsored brands fell by 8.1% year over year. And then next we have conversion rates. So these do continue to decrease over time. In quarter four, we saw that both ad types fell for a fourth consecutive quarter. Sponsored product ad conversion rates, so the CVR dropped with a 6.7% decrease quarter over quarter, while CVR decreased by 10.4% year over year at an average of 17.46%. And then sponsored brand ads, CVR decreased 8% quarter over quarter and 16.9% year over year at an average of 15.16%. Next slide. And then next here we have the sponsored product and sponsored brand. ROAS is actually up year over year. So sponsored product ROAS decreased by 1.7 quarter over quarter. However, it did increase 4.4% year over year at an average of $4.73. And then sponsored brands return on advertising, so ROAS fell by 1.6% quarter over quarter and increased year over year by 1.3 at an average of $3.77 in quarter four of 2022. All right, and last but not least for our metrics here, CPA rose for sponsored products and brand quarter over quarter. So sponsored products ads CPA of $6.91 represents a 6.6 increase quarter over quarter and a 5.2% decrease year over year. Sponsored brand ads CPA shows a 7.5 increase quarter over quarter, rising to $10.45 in quarter four over 2022, and CPA increased year over year by 10.8%. So next, we're going to jump into category trends with McKenna.
Awesome, thank you. So these are category trends specific to Amazon that stood out to us. We just pulled a few that were interesting. So on the next slide, the first of these is toys and games. So this is always a big category for Q4. Lots of people shopping in the holidays, in advance of the holidays, and in Cyber 5. We also see advertisers really leaning into play in this space in Q4 too. So ad spend for the category was up 113% quarter over quarter, but ad spend was actually down year over year, which is kind of an interesting call out there. CPCs in the category remain flat. So at 49 cents, you'll see here on the left side, they're down significantly year over year. So that blue line is 2022, the red and green are 2020 and 2021. So you'll see that significant drop off in CPCs this year versus prior years. Conversion rate grew in Q4, increasing 37% quarter over quarter for Amazon sponsored products. So I think the net of this, this is a win for the toys and games category advertisers, specifically those that were advertising in Q4. While they likely saw those lower cost CPCs down versus prior years, consumers were still converting at really strong rates, ultimately driving strong sales around the holidays for them. Moving on to pet supplies. This is a fun category. I know just what the products that fit into this category, expensive to ship, pretty heavy, dog food, cat food, big, shipping costs there. So it's always an interesting category. I know Amazon leaned in a little bit more to this category earlier last year. So when looking at it in Q4, we saw CPCs actually down 15% quarter over quarter with a CPC of $1.70 for sponsored products. And then the average ROAS was up 12% quarter over quarter to $4.50 for sponsored products in Q4. So advertisers that were selling in this space in Q4 were really able to end the year strong, capitalizing on these improved efficiencies in the category. And then finally, my favorite category, clothing, shoes, and jewelry. So as expected, sponsored products in the category significantly increased their spend here. So 53% quarter over quarter, with advertisers really leaning into Cyber 5 and the holiday period. Category CPCs did see a slight increase of 2% on sponsored products, but conversion rate was actually down. So that was down 8% quarter over quarter. So advertisers, I think in this category really faced more volatile landscape compared to other categories we took a look at. They're seeing more of that impact on the ongoing economic uncertainty and consumer behavior, likely due to that higher price point of products in this category. I'll now pass it back over to Kelsey.
Sorry about that. Now we are jumping into Walmart. We're going to look at some benchmarks from what we saw for quarter four. Okay, so Walmart is now including the new to brand metric. So that has been a really helpful metric for Walmart advertisers to understand the new consumers to their brand. We have order-based conversion rate. So that's going to be the conversion rate was previously defined as units divided by clicks. But keep in mind now that they've changed that, it is now orders divided by clicks. So be mindful of that when you're evaluating your KPIs. And then sponsored brand video. This is not a quarter four feature. It's actually going live in January. I think it might be live for some people now. I know there's been some buzz on the team about that. So if you're not seeing it yet, keep an eye out for it. It's coming to you. So. Okay, so some Walmart metrics here. CTR continued to rapidly ascend by 21.57% quarter over quarter. That's at an average of 0.62% in quarter four. Sponsored ad CTR continued to show enormous growth year over year, increasing a whopping 106.67%. Pretty awesome there. Well, not awesome, but it is awesome, yeah. Brand saw CPCs increase for the first time in 4 quarters in quarter four 2022. Sponsored ads CPC saw an increase quarter over quarter by 16.07% up to 65 cents. However, this still represents a total decrease overall of about 25% year over year. All right, next we have our ROAS and ad spend. This was up dramatically year over year. So Walmart Connect sponsored ads, ROAS fell for the first time actually in 4 quarters. In Q4 2022, ROAS decreased 12.55% to 6.06 quarter over quarter. The dollars sponsored ad ROAS increased 82.53% year over year. Sponsored ad spend showed a strong increase of 17.95% quarter over quarter. And then the dramatic increase was due to the biggest holiday shopping season ever for Amazon and the other top online marketplaces. Spend on sponsored ads increased by 31.49% year over year in the Q4 of 2022. So I'm going to pass it back to McKenna now for Instacart.
So we're going to first walk through some new features on Instacart in Q4 and then look at performance. So in terms of new features, there's 2 new rollouts from Instacart. The first of these is new to brand metrics. So Instacart released new to brand reporting metrics, which really help provide visibility into how effective your ads are in converting new customers, but then also retaining existing ones. So the new to brand metrics complement existing metrics like ROAS and describing your effectiveness and value of your ads. But they also help you understand customer acquisition of your different ad tactics. And then the second feature rolled out from Instacart is Instacart's incremental lift testing services. So these help enable advertisers to understand the true sales impact of your ads. So through the service provided to advertisers, advertisers receive data on how their advertising is really impacting. So they get data on how you compare people who saw your ads versus people who didn't see your ads to really measure that incremental sales lift. These lift services aren't available to all partners. So if you have any interest, I would recommend reaching out to your account team because there definitely is value in understanding and seeing this data. So in terms of the report, so on Instacart, we're seeing continued decline in terms of efficiency for advertisers in Q4. ROAS fell for the 3rd consecutive quarter, down 7% in Q4. And similarly, on CPCs continue to increase for the 3rd quarter in a row as well. So CPCs were up 9% quarter over quarter to $1.09 in Q4. Historically, CPCs tend to dip on Instacart in Q1 from their previous Q4 levels. So for brands leveraging ad spend and sponsored ads, on Instacart, I would recommend continuing to monitor this trend in Q1 and look for opportunities to build new campaigns, test ads, reach new audiences at that lower price point that we tend to see in Q1. And then looking at average daily spend. So average daily spend for brands on sponsored product increased on Instacart. In Q4, we saw a surge 22% quarter over quarter for sponsored ads. And that's 6% higher than last year's average. So it's really evident advertisers are expanding their kind of more overall marketing mix, and in some cases prioritizing Instacart as their place to spend. As you see, the spend numbers are quarter over quarter and year over year compared to Amazon, where you'll see that spend down year over year. And then just to kind of finish up our overall presentation, we wanted to share just 7 strategies looking to 2023 to really make the most of the year and have a strong year. So first of these is to align with your team on your strategic marketing mix. So where your ad dollars are going. So when budgets are tighter, it's really important to have clear priorities and make sure you allocate dollars to where you're performing the strongest and where it most aligns with your KPIs. Next is to monitor engagement of your metrics. So ensuring you're promoting the right assortment and mix. So under recession, economic uncertainty, customers are really looking for those lower price, more value brands. So if you begin to see your engagement drop off and conversion decline, I think it's time to revisit your assortment and really look at what you're promoting and potentially shift to those smaller pack sizes, cheaper products that consumers are more likely to buy during times like this. And then in terms of budget pacing, what's really cool in Packview, you're able to pace your budget throughout the month. Doesn't need to be evenly. So we know consumer behavior varies. People aren't shopping the same every single day of the month. So one idea we had here is just to pace your budget towards those typical paycheck periods. So when people have more dollars in the bank account, they're more likely to probably buy and engage with your ads and actually purchase. So shifting spend to those days where people are getting paid. And then number 4 on our list is innovation. So I know innovation is a big topic, but it's, there's always some risk with innovation. So finding ways to really scale those innovation products, but at the lowest risk. So some ideas here are using existing sponsored brand campaigns to add that innovation ASIN as your third ASIN, or also adding the innovation to the top of your brand store. So these are cheap, low cost, effective ways, but you can still help surface those new innovation ASINs. And then I'll pass it to Kelsey for the last 3.
All right, thank you. So number 5, for advertisers with really deep catalogs, it's more important than ever right now to follow the 80-20 rule for your portfolio. So long tail keywords, not well money spent when you're trying to get profitability in an economic downturn. So just keep that in mind with your allocating your assortment appropriately. And then number 6, so leveraging AMC data to have a clear picture of your customer's journey. You can do this really nicely within the Packview dashboard. We outline the full journey of your customer, and you can see areas where you're potentially wasting ad dollars, whether that's their first glance versus the actual final step of purchase. So checking out that AMC data is a super hot topic for this year. And then lastly, number 7 is Packview Latitude. This is a new tool built within our commerce tool. So this is going to help you understand how to react quickly and pivot when your top ASINs are no longer profitable. So when you don't have a lot of time to make a decision, we're there to support you with Latitude to pivot to something else in your portfolio. Latitude is going to give you that plug to make that decision. So, all right, now we're into Q&A.
Awesome. So we received a ton of good questions. We have time for a few, so we'll walk through some of those. Those of you that we don't get to your questions, we can follow up via email, or if you have any additional questions, please reach out to either of us or through our website. A reminder, the CPC report is available to download on packview.com. So be sure to check that out. It's up at the top of the banner, so pretty easy to find if you need to take a look at that. So looking at Q&A. So first question we received was, how would CPC trend change now that the holiday season is over? So we touched on this a bit, and especially when looking at Instacart. I know we would expect CPCs to really normalize, maybe at the end of January, towards the end of January, move back towards a baseline. We saw with Instacart that levels significantly dropped from Q4 to Q1. So we do expect that to kind of level out through the end of January of this year. To be more normalized. But I think January is a really good time to kind of level set your bids, use automated rules where you can, to kind of level set and get back to that normal level to start the year really strong.
Cool. And then we had 2 other questions for sure that we want to hit. So one would be the next question that came through was someone wanted to hear more about the trends in Amazon's receiving times. They said that this seems to be longer than what they've ever experienced, regardless of the holiday seasonality. As a seller myself, I can totally relate to the frustration that is felt there. I know the holiday season definitely takes longer than usual. I do know that it can be location dependent too. So depending on where your warehouse is in the United States or in a different part of the world, they might have higher volumes than usual. However, just to give you some perspective and growth that Amazon is providing to support sellers, is that between 2015 to 2019, Amazon opened on average of 75 warehouses per year, but as of last year, they opened approximately 250 warehouses. So as you can imagine, I'm sure there's a bunch of logistic growth that needs to go in there to make this run smoothly. But with that big jump happening just last year, there's likely going to be more growth for this year coming up. So that wraps up question number 2. And then my last question to cover was, what can you do to speed up the integrations? So I know a lot of you have experienced some lag time within Packview. We did just recently revamp our entire UI as of January 10th. So the speed time has greatly improved. Everything is loading much faster now. So keep that in mind, and we hope you guys enjoy it. We welcome the feedback on it to improve it even further for you all.
Yep, and then just one last clarifying question. I know we had a few questions about the 7 tips, the long tail point. So that was actually long tail ASINs. So ASINs that aren't necessarily your best sellers or your top sellers, kind of reevaluating and seeing performance there and really focus on your key top ASINs versus some of those long tail ASINs.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. We really hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, please reach out with any questions and we'll be following up to answer some of those questions that we did receive via the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.